So the trade deadline is less than a week away, which means the Lakers are more pressed than ever to make a deal. So today we're going to talk about what I think are the best trade options, as well as one shocking trade target that seemingly came out of nowhere. Let's talk about it. Before we get started, if you guys can do me a huge favor and drop a like on the video and make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any future Lakers and other sports content. Okay, so let's get right into it. In order for the Lakers to compete for a championship, I think we could all agree that they really need a big and a guard. Now, if I had to choose between the two in terms of priority and which one would move the needle the furthest in terms of pushing us to that championship contention, I would have to go a big. And we've heard both LeBron James and Anthony Davis, more so Anthony Davis, just be very vocal about acquiring another big, like a legitimate big. We have Christian Koloko, we have Jackson Hayes, but if we're being honest, they're not serviceable to the point where we are confident in our front court and we can ride this team to a championship. You see what I'm saying? So in terms of urgency, it's a big over a guard, in my opinion. But I do think they're both important. Now, the two best options for a big are Miles Turner and Walker Kessler, for sure. And Walker Kessler is kind of an interesting situation because throughout the season, even back in the summer, to be honest, it's always been like the Lakers are interested. The Lakers are interested. Maybe there's a deal to be done. But then we hear reports where the asking price is too high. But we've never heard reports yet to where it's like he's completely off the table. I mean, we just hear like murmurs here and there, you know what I'm saying? So it's kind of a gray area. It's like, yeah, it's possible, but it's not possible. So that one's kind of tricky. But until I hear that he is just completely off the table, the Lakers are no longer calling for him, it's just no longer an option, I will consider him a viable option. I do think he's one of the best trade targets that we have. Now, between Miles Turner and Walker Kessler, it's kind of how you look at it, because if you're talking about this year, right, a trade for a big that will give us the best chance to win a ring this year, it's Miles Turner. He's older, he's more experienced, and he's a more complete player. I think defensively, I would give a slight edge to Walker Kessler, even at his young age, but they're both pretty good defensively, especially considering what we currently have on the roster. Offensively, Miles Turner runs away with it. Easy. So if you're talking about a fit alongside Anthony Davis to compete for a championship this year, Miles Turner is definitely the better fit. He's a better shooter. He stretches the floor. He still provides rim protection. They're both pretty agile. Anthony Davis, he's arguably the best defender in the NBA. So nobody is really that good of a defender at his size. But I think in terms of switchability, Miles Turner is not bad. Like, we've seen him switch onto guards and, compete, essentially. But at the end of the day, he's going to use his length, his agility, and, his kind of athleticism to protect the rim. That's what we're looking for. Walker Kessler, on the other hand, if you're looking for the best big to help you this season, but to also invest for the future, then Walker Kessler is easily the better option. You see what I'm saying? So it kind of depends on how you look at it. Win a championship now, your option is Miles Turner. Kind of helping the team now and planning for the future, it's definitely Walker Kessler. The thing is, both of them are going to require, I believe, at least 2 first-round picks. So that's kind of the thing. It's like, they're both really good options. They really are. And in terms of if both were on the table and the Lakers had the option, I would not be mad with either one. But at the end of the day, those are, in my opinion, the two best trade options, especially when you're talking about just for bigs. So the question then becomes, how do we get these trades done? When it comes to Walker Kessler, I'm not going to spend too much time on that. We've gone over it numerous times, and I've gone on record also stating that I believe he's worth 2 first-round picks. I know a lot of you disagree, but I just think with his age, his potential, as well as his current, skill set and his ability to affect the game, I think we can invest 2 first-round picks for Walker Kessler, and he can be basically our target center for years to come. He's going to be our guy at the 5. Miles Turner, on the other hand, is where things get interesting because the Pacers are actually doing fairly well this year. It's not like they're tanking. And Miles Turner is clearly one of their best players. So they've gone on record stating that, hey, listen, if we're going to trade Miles Turner, we want a starting caliber big in return. So that automatically tells you if it's going to be a deal with the Lakers, it has to be a 3-team deal. Bobby Marks over at ESPN gave us some insight as to what this deal could potentially look like. So essentially, Miles Turner will be heading to the Lakers. The Pacers will receive Rui Hachimura and a 2029 top 5 protected first, and the Toronto Raptors would receive JHS and a 2029 second round pick from Portland. Now, what about our guard play? It's pretty evident that the Lakers need another guard who can handle some of the ball handling duties, playmaking, as well as add some defensive presence to that perimeter. And if we're lucky, maybe can help with the scoring as well. Because to be honest, yes, I think the Lakers made the right move trading D'Angelo Russell, but it's not like we didn't lose anything trading D'Lo. Like, he was one of our best playmakers, and he did provide some decent scoring off the bench. Now, this is where another trade proposal comes into play that actually came as a shock to me, and that's with the Atlanta Hawks. We've heard recent reports stating that the Lakers could potentially be interested in Bogdan Bogdanovic, which is very, very interesting because it's not like it completely came out of nowhere, but at the same time, we haven't heard these talks in quite some time. So Bogdan has always been one of those guys that's been kind of linked to the Lakers. Like, you hear murmurs here and there, but with the trade line being basically next week, and then you hear reports of his name heating up and the Lakers are one of the top, people that are interested. It's like, whoa, like, where'd this come from? You know what I'm saying? We've heard Lonzo Ball, we've heard Bruce Brown, even going back to the summer and earlier in the year, we heard Zach LaVine. But Bogdan is an interesting choice for me because if you think about it, on paper, like in theory, when you look at Bogdan's track record, he fits pretty well with the Lakers. He's that guard. He's never really been a great defender, but he's a competitor. He's a solid shooter, can generate his own offense to a degree. And he's been known to kind of start, come off the bench. Like, he's been very fluid in that aspect. So he could start for the Lakers if, he reaches a point where he has a breakout season, or he can come off the bench and provide a much needed scoring punch from our second unit. Here's the thing though. That's on paper. If you really look into it, first of all, I've always liked Bogey. Bogey, he's a good player, and he's kind of a dog too. Like, he competes. You can bring that out of him. But he's 32 years old, and I'm like, yo, how did that happen? Like, is it just me? Like, is it me, or it's just like, yo, I always just saw him as like this young kind of, I don't know. Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm just getting old. But he's 32 years old. And, and I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing. That doesn't mean he's like old, but if you look at it in NBA terms, that's kind of around the cusp where he's just kind of closing out his prime and could be on the verge of regression. So, and on top of that, he's having statistically one of his worst seasons of his career, which is so unfortunate. Looking at his averages for his career, he's putting up 14 points, 3 rebounds, and 3 assists on 43% from the field and 38% from 3. Not bad. Actually pretty solid, especially if that's kind of your number one player coming off the bench, like your sixth man, so to speak. But if you're looking at this season, he's only averaging 10 points, 2.8 rebounds, and 2 assists on 37% from the field and only 30% from 3. And on top of that, he's only played 24 games this year. So he's basically been out half the season due to injury. So again, in theory, right, looking at who that player is, yes, he can provide. He's a solid ball handler. He can come off screens and shoot. He can create his own offense. So I think that could be helpful. But just looking at on paper and looking at what he's done so far this season, it's definitely a risk, man. I don't know if that's one the Lakers want to take, especially when you consider that he's not really bringing much on the defensive end as well. So like I said before, the reports they're just developing. They're coming out pretty much every day, and we are reaching that time of year. The trade deadline is February 6th, so it's less than a week away. We'll see how it goes. The Lakers could pretty much go in a few directions, but we've seen it before too, to where Rob Pelinka will pull off a deal that just came out of nowhere. You know what I'm saying? So let me know in the comments what you think. Are you in favor of Miles Turner or Walker Kessler? Do you think Bogey is a good move or not? Just let me know what you guys think, man. I love talking to you guys in the comments, so I appreciate your support. Thank you for watching the video. Again, if you hadn't already, go ahead and drop a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you haven't, and I'll catch you on the next video. Here.